Once upon a time in a faraway kingdom, there lived a wise and honest minister. He had two daughters named Maria and Mary, who were identical twins except for their hearts. They were complete opposites. While Maria was calm, kind, and wise, Mary was arrogant, selfish, and obsessed with her own beauty. Her reflection stared back at her from the mirror, and she gave a dazzling smile. But when the minister entered the room, he stopped short in surprise. Suddenly, an old magician appeared before her and said, "Why are you crying, child? What has upset you so much?" But the thought of getting a magical gift made her brave. "Oh, poor thing," she said, and quickly set the bird free. The swan was very thankful and gave her a shining feather as a reward. In its place stood a tall and handsome knight. "Thank you for saving my life," he said to Mary. "I am a water spirit. As a token of my gratitude, I will grant you a wish." She went to her sister's room, but it was empty. She had gone to see the dying tree in the forest, and Mary knew exactly where she would have gone. So she left the house and walked as fast as she could to the forest. They grew old together, helping each other and enjoying their lives. And whenever they saw a flower or a butterfly, they remembered the words of the wise magician, that true beauty comes from a kind heart and helping those in need. Ask for anything you want. Mary didn't hesitate. He had two daughters, Maria and Mary, who were identical twins, except for their hearts. While Maria was kind, Mary was arrogant and obsessed with her own beauty. On their 19th birthday, a charming prince asked for Maria's hand in marriage. Mary was jealous and ran away from the palace. She met a magician who sent her to free a golden deer, a swan, and a dying tree in exchange for magical gifts. With each task, Mary became more beautiful, but she could only use her gifts for vanity. Meanwhile, Maria remained pure and beautiful inside and out. In the end, Mary realized her selfishness and asked for her sister's forgiveness. The two sisters became best friends, helping each other and living virtuous lives. They never forgot the valuable lesson. They learned that true beauty comes from kindness and helping those in need. "I want to be the most beautiful girl in the kingdom, even more beautiful than my own sister." The knight bowed his head and disappeared. "This feather will grant you wealth beyond your wildest dreams," the swan said. She was so excited to show off her brand new beauty. She walked through the front door and saw her father sitting in a chair. "Look, father," she said proudly, "don't you think I am the most beautiful girl here?" The minister looked at her, but he didn't say anything. He just kept staring. Mary started to get angry. "Don't you think I am beautiful?" she shouted. The minister finally looked at her and said, "Of course you are the most beautiful. But why do you want to be like a flower which wilts after a few hours? True beauty shines from within and never fades away." Mary realized that she had been selfish and unkind throughout her life. She had ignored those who needed her help and only thought about herself and her beauty. Mary was already rich, so she wasn't interested in this gift. She wanted to be beautiful, like her sister. She approached the deer carefully and cut the net with her sharp knife. "Maria, I am so sorry," Mary said. She helped those in need and never thought about herself again. She never forgot the valuable lesson she had learned in the forest. "I have been a terrible sister and haven't treated you nicely. Please forgive me." Maria looked up and saw the sincere remorse in her sister's eyes. She knew that Mary wasn't just saying these words. She had changed. "Of course I forgive you, Mary. We are sisters, after all. And besides, I know you have a good heart. You just have to find the right things to do with it." The grateful animal blessed her with beauty and said, "From now on, everyone who sees you will think that you are the most beautiful girl in the kingdom." Mary was overjoyed and thanked the deer. Then she ran to the magician and asked for her gift. The deer had already vanished. She looked down at her hands and was shocked. They were glowing with a magical light. Mary was so happy because she knew that she would become the most beautiful girl in the kingdom. Mary told the magician about her anger towards her father and how she wanted to be as beautiful as her sister. The magician listened patiently and then said, "Your sister isn't beautiful." She felt sorry for the tree and asked, "What can I do to help you?" The tree said, "Please take me to the river and dip me in its water. That will help me to live longer and become strong again." She rolled up her sleeves and tied some vines around the tree. Then she dragged it all the way to the river. As the tree touched the water, it began to glow and slowly turned into a beautiful horse. Startled, Mary ran away and hid behind a bush. "It must be you whom the people have been praising as a great beauty." Mary was confused and asked, "What do you mean?" The magician pointed to a clearing in the forest where a magnificent golden deer was trapped in a hunter-esque net. "Go there and free the animal, and I will give you a magical gift in return." "Why are you dressed like that? I told you to wear the blue dress I bought for you." Mary frowned and pouted like a child. "But I want to look pretty. I don't want to be one of those ugly village girls." The minister sighed and shook his head. "You will wear what your father tells you, not what you want to, and you will be kind and respectful to our guests. Do you hear me?" Mary mumbled something under her breath, but her father couldn't hear it. She spent all day admiring her reflection in the silver mirror. On their 19th birthday, the minister planned a grand feast and invited royals from neighboring kingdoms to celebrate. Among the guests were dashing young princes, eager to find suitable brides. Both sisters took notice of a charming prince and his equally beautiful sister. Instead, he talked to Maria, who had arrived late with her father. She looked beautiful in the simple blue dress, and the prince felt drawn to her gentle and honest eyes. His sister also liked Maria and felt that she would make a fine and caring little sister. So the prince asked the minister for Maria's hand in marriage. He was taken aback by this sudden proposal and couldn't help but smile. He had hoped for this outcome and knew that his daughter would be happy with the prince. However, Mary was furious. She couldn't believe that her father had agreed to let her sister marry the prince instead of her. They had come from a faraway land, and their parents were looking for kind and virtuous girls to marry their children. Mary thought this was her chance to finally become a princess. She practiced her smile in the mirror, trying to look as sweet and innocent as possible. Little did she know, though, that the prince's family had heard about her bad reputation. People often whispered behind her back about how selfish and vain she was. As the night of the party drew near, Mary got ready in a beautiful gown. At the party, Mary tried to catch the prince's attention by dancing close to him and whispering sweet nothings, but he didn't seem interested in her. That night, she ran away from the palace and wandered deep into the forest, crying. At first, Mary hesitated. She had never done anything like this before and wasn't sure if she could do it. She continued her walk in the forest and soon came across a lake where she saw a beautiful white swan stuck in a fisherman's net. Mary walked on and came across a huge tree that had lost all its leaves and was slowly dying. The horse whinnied and shook its head, and then it vanished. Mary hurried back to the kingdom. She looked down at her feet and said, "I am sorry, Father. I promise I will never do it again." When she arrived, she found her sister sitting on the ground with her head in her hands. And that is exactly what happened. Mary became a different person after that day. Many years passed, and the two sisters remained the best of friends. Once upon a time in a faraway kingdom, there lived a wise and honest minister.